Hi guys, welcome back to Saving Salvage, welcome back to the channel and part 3 of the Audi RS4 build. You may be wondering why I'm sat in the dark pretty much in my car filming the intro. Quite simple, it's because I forgot to film one. So I've just been editing the video, putting it all together and realised that when I carried on from the last bit of filming, I just forgot to film an introduction. So that is the reason I'm sat in this Skoda in the dark. In today's video, guys, I know exactly what I've done. You're about to find out. But in today's video, we'll be fitting the timing chains, well, the lower ones anyway, that control the crankshaft and off sprockets that then control the individual heads. We'll be fitting those two chains, and we will also be fitting the timing chain cover and getting the heads on. I'm sure there's a few other bits I've forgotten. I have left probably a 5 or 6 day period over Christmas where I haven't actually done anything. So let's jump back in time, back to the workshop before Christmas and crack on with the RS4 build. So now in today's video, guys, I'm going to leave the sump off for the moment for absolutely no reason whatsoever, other than I just feel like there may be something I should put in there before I put the sump on. I don't know why. I'm just going to leave it off for the minute. It doesn't need to go on. The reason some of you have said, why don't you put it on an engine stand, it would be so much easier. I have my engine stand here, but because of where we're working on the engine, there's nowhere to bolt it to. So this is the gearbox end of the engine, and this is where you're supposed to mount it to the engine stand. But obviously we need to work on this side of the engine, so therefore it's completely useless being on an engine stand. The same that side as well, there's nowhere to actually bolt it to an engine stand securely. So that is why it's not on one, and that is why I'm still working on the bench. So in today's video, we're going to be building up the timing chain, the auxiliary pump, and then putting the timing chain cover back on as well. And maybe if that goes all well and doesn't take too long, we might get the heads into position. So that is a plan for today. Just going to check my little drive there, make sure it's not come out. Yeah, that's fine. So I've just put it under a little block of wood, so we've just got a little bit more room here. Annoyingly though, I am going to be working upside down because obviously I don't want to crush the bottom of the engine. Even if I had the sump on, I wouldn't want to crush the sump either. So we've got to do it upside down. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, but we'll give it a go. So the first thing we're actually going to fit is my auxiliary pump. Right, I've just been studying ELSA, and the first thing we've got to install is this auxiliary pump drive, which goes on here. It would be for a hydraulic power steering if we had it. That would go onto this drive here. But because this is a 2014 RS4, it doesn't have hydraulic power steering, it has electric. So this isn't actually used. You just get a dust cap on this. But this one is for the air compressor. This one is used. So that is the output for that. And then we've also got our oil pump drive here, which is what we've already fitted. This spindle here, which connects into here. So now we've got to marry that up, fit it into there. So I've got to put a bead, because obviously this goes external to the engine here. I've got to put a bead of silicone all around here and all around here. Got my O-ring in position here as well. And then we just slot that in, making sure obviously our oil pump drive. How rude. Right, so I've now just done up the bolts for the auxiliary pump drive. So now we're going to be fitting our first chain, making sure it is the correct way round. I haven't swapped it around 180. So I believe, can we just slot it over there? It's as simple as that. Where does it go? Which I don't know if we want to be fitting this one first, because that goes on the outside. I feel like this chain's got to be fitted last actually, because it's not going to be in the right position. So let's just put that down there. So it's this one we're fitting first, which goes round the sprockets that drive the cylinder heads, and that goes on the back as there's 2 gears on the crank. Oh, well, she didn't undo that one. Right, it's just the chain on. Screw that back in a little bit. So now we need some tensioners. So this isn't timed or anything like that, because this is just an auxiliary chain for the head sprocket, so there is no timing that I've got to do for this. So it's just a simple chain around the sprockets, tensioner, pull the pin, job done. So I'm just now going to nip these up, and then we'll go ahead and fit the other chain. Right, so I've just torqued all these bolts up, so now what I've got to do is just push this in, and I'll pull my drill bit out that I used. And there we go. That is that done. So that's that chain nice and tight now. So now we move on to, got to just take this off, our other chain, which goes around this bit. So that goes here. So let's try and get this in here. Quite tricky actually. Trying to just feed it in. Like so. Right, that is that chain back in now. Again, I'm just going to turn the camera off because it's boring talking up bolts. So I'm just going to torque up the 3 for the chain tensioner and this main sprocket here, and then I'll just release the pin, and that should be those all done. Just going to make sure I've got my torque. Yep, okay, got them there. Okay, so I'm just going to do that now, and then we'll come back and just see if there's anything else left before we actually put the timing cover back on. Right, so just off camera, I've been cleaning up my timing chain cover, so I've got rid of all the sealant, and I've put it through the parts washer, cleaned it up a treat, so that is ready to go back on. The only thing I am going to do quickly is actually just my flywheel crank sensor. Just down here, as I took that out to clean it. I have also removed my crankshaft seal as well, which is on the timing chain cover here as well, because there's a proper way you're meant to insert them, and I bought new ones, and I would rather insert the new ones as per instructions where you press them in. So I don't want to have to put them in here first and then slide it over, because it might go wrong. So I'd rather do it properly where I just press it in. So for now I've just knocked out, just used a chisel and a hammer, just knocked out the old crankshaft seal, and I'll leave that alone for the moment so we can install the timing chain cover. So I've gone round, I've checked, actually we've just got to pull this pin, which isn't actually doing anything anyway. Oh. It already came out. So well, that's out. Is that right? Yeah, looks right. What I might do is actually just quickly turn it over by hand. But that timing chain cover is ready to now go. So I've got my instructions here. There's a lot of places, as you can see there, look, there is a lot of places I've got to put sealant on, numbers 1 to 9. So it's quite interesting to know, there's no way you'd be able to rebuild this engine without diagrams of where to put sealant, because there's a lot of places to put sealant. Right, so engine turns over sweet. So now I'm just going to drop a bead of sealant all round the outside of here. So this could take a while. Right, let's get her on. Actually, can I hold it there? Hold it here and here. Best way of doing it. Well guys, sorry, I've just come back after Christmas, so I've had probably about 4 or 5 days off from this now. I think I last left you fitting the timing chain cover, so that is all now fit, and I did mess it up. I did my first cock up. I forgot to fit these camshaft chains. So what I did, obviously you watched me, fitted it all, nice beader sealing, took me ages getting it all perfect, did all the bolts in, torqued them all up, and then realised that I forgot to fit these chains. And if you can see here, look, that is why I have to fit them, because there is no room to get them in with the timing chain cover on. So annoyingly, I had to take it all back off again. I cleaned it all back down, and then obviously put the chains back on and fitted it again. So quite annoying, because that was probably the hardest or the most time consuming part to fit, but done it now. Chains are on both sides, so we are now, and obviously as you can see I've flipped the engine up, and I'm glad I didn't fit the sump because it's just come in handy. I can just rest it on a few blocks so it's not hitting the floor, and then we can fit our heads. And once we've fitted the heads, I can then support it on the engine crane, because obviously the heads have got the anchor points for the crane. So what we're going to do now is, everything's all cleaned up, all ready to go anyway, so I've just got to refit the head gaskets. I'm obviously going to reuse the ones that have been on there for about 5 seconds. So we're going to put them on, and then we're going to torque the heads down, and that will probably be the end of today's video. I've just cleaned up the bottom of the first head, and now I'm going to attempt to fit it, which is going to be quite difficult unless I can wrap it around. Right, up we go. Oh my god. I'll just get it on the locator. Probably haven't put the camera in the best position here ever. Just going to pull the chain through. It's a lot easier said than done. So on that last one, that was very unfortunate timing. The camera ran out of memory just as I was putting it on. Right, so next one. Just cleaned up all the bottom of it, so it's going to slide straight on, hopefully, wherever the lug may be. Is that in? I think so. There we go. That's that on. Just put one of these in to stop it from going anywhere. There we go. That is the heads all in position. I'm going to obviously strip the camshaft. I'm going to take the camshafts back out, because the Cambridge rebores, I think they've put the other camshafts in upside down because they're not lining up with any of the holes, even though the locators are in. So I am going to take them off, strip them back down, and just so I can put the head bolts in, and then we will build up the camshafts from there. So that is the next step. So I've just removed both camshafts now, and I've just got my bolts here. I'm just going to slide them in. Well guys, I'm going to have to end that video there today. I wanted to get the heads both on and bolted down properly and torqued up, but unfortunately I left my laptop at home which has all the torque settings for the head bolts, and obviously that's something that I am not going to guess at. So unfortunately I'm going to have to end today's video there guys, but thank you very much for watching, and in the next episode we'll be finishing off the engine internally. We'll be getting the heads all bolted back on, camshafts on, rocker cover back on as well, sump on as well, and then that'll be the engine fully complete in terms of mechanical moving parts, etc. Injectors in as well, spark plugs, coil packs, all that sort of stuff will be in the next episode guys. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a good new year if I don't manage to get another one out before the new year, and I'll see you all in 2021. Cheers guys.